more time.
We're gonna run it one more time, and we're gonna react to it.
Wait, before we do that, the idea of running the trailer is this. And Danny, and thank you so much again for coming on the show. You are actually the exact type of person that we have been trying to get on the show for a year now. Because when we first got this idea, part of the mandate was we don't really care for Gunn's work. We know that there are going to be people that want to come in the chat that do. So we want to hear why you like him. We want to hear what behind, what is it that you like about James Gunn? What is it that you don't like about James Gunn? What are things that you wish that he would change, things that he wouldn't do? Things like that. We want a normal conversation basically with somebody who admires Gunn and his work. That's all. Because we don't get the chance to talk to people like that. They're always in the chat as bots or whatever and showing up and talking crap, and then we got to boot them. And we don't want to do that. We want real, honest, grown
normal
up
people.
Normal. You said you're in your 40s. I'm 52.
Oh,
I want normal.
Black don't crack, man. You don't look a day over 40.
I'm 41, so we're
in the same boat. And exactly, and that is the type of conversation we want to have. Not somebody showing up and saying, "Snyderverse is dead," or his movie sucked and all that. With that 10-year-old
trashing. I don't that. What's going to be a flop? He's only this. He's only done one good thing, or he's only done that. I'm like, well, tell it to his bank account, dude. Like, you may feel that way, but there's other people who don't. And why is that your only argument? Why is that your only argument that you hate Gunn? Like, okay.
And honestly, and we have acknowledged that Zach isn't perfect. He has his flaws. Visually, he's a very good visual storyteller.
Yes.
But when it comes to writing, he needs help there. Hence why he gets other writers to help him with that.
But that is why that's why he gets other writers. Now, I'll give you a perfect example. And a lot of people, and this is how people don't do the research. Okay, they say they don't know if all you got to do is get on the internet, guys. The internet is your generation's library. So go ahead, ChatGPT, do whatever you got to do. Christopher Nolan came up with the story with David S. Goyer based off of his story, and Goyer wrote the script. You guys understand how that works. The script is literally the blueprint that people lay out when they're designing the building. That's where the concept came from. So the dialogue in the story, Superman's state or the beginning of how he starts his journey emotionally and all of that stuff, that's a concept from Christopher Nolan. So you can't at one point say Christopher Nolan is the GOAT for The Dark Knight, but then you take his script and they give it to Zack Snyder, and Zack Snyder does his thing based off of what he got, and then turn around and say it's dog shit. You can't. The story process starts somewhere. It starts with pen and paper. How you write, your prose, your action scenes, your dialogue, all of that stuff, it starts from that.
Right, and I'll
that took right that concept. Yeah,
I'll come right out and tell you guys, I didn't like Rebel Moon. I didn't like it.
There's some people
there's some people that don't.
That didn't.
And that's
I like Zack Snyder, but I didn't care for Rebel Moon. The dialogue was just like, oh buddy, oh sweetheart, no, you should have just dialed that back a notch.
And I've come out on our show
and that's constructive criticism, and I love it because we've acknowledged that there are things that could have been better.
The dialogue mostly it felt like he was just he really wanted to do a good job. He really wanted to do well, and he tried a little too hard.
As you know, that was mainly Kurt Johnstad actually.
Okay.
So. Kurt Johnstad's been with him since 300, so he was the one. Kurt Johnstad was the one that wrote 300. I think they've been together for what? Oh God, over 20 years, something like that. Now, I think. Yeah, something like that. So technically that was the script, the Rebel Moon scripts and stuff like that. That was written by Kurt Johnstad. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I was going to say too, there are things that I've always said BVS is my favorite Zack Snyder movie, but even in BVS, there are things that I took issue with that we've publicly discussed here. So we're not saying like we can't criticize Zack Snyder. Everybody is open to criticism. Everybody, everybody interprets film differently. Film is an art, and art is all up to interpretation. So there's no limits with that.
Okay, so let's watch the trailer. Where's that video? Okay,
You said Superman trailer reaction. Phil, you dropped the ball again.
I did.
Prepared, Phil. You look at the
Look at
reaction.
Oh, reaction.
Superman trailer reaction.
Damn.
You slipping, bro.
Unprepared Phil. Hashtag unprepared Phil.
There we go. Okay. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, we got Dani here. And please, a link will be in the description so you guys can go and subscribe to her channel. Also, a link for the trailer of Superman will also be a link in the description. So, ladies and gentlemen, play.
Are you being serious right now?
Yeah.
You'd let me interview you as Superman.
Sure.
She says, I ain't gonna hold back.
Ready?
Let's do it, Cronkite.
Superman.
Miss Lane.
Recently, you've come under a lot of fire for
I
what
know,
some
it's
might.
a lot of
It's
fire.
a lot. Today, the Secretary of Defense said he was going to look into your actions. That's funny.
My actions? I stopped a war.
Maybe.
Not maybe. I did.
In effect, you illegally entered a country.
This is how you're gonna be?
I'm not the one being interviewed, Superman. Did you consult with the president?
No.
You seemingly acting as a representative of
I
the
wasn't
United States will
representing
cause
anybody
more
except for me.
problems around the world.
And doing good.
I would question myself in the same situation and consider the consequences.
People were going to die.
I love the callback to Reeves' music.
Hey, buddy. Eyes up here.
Your choices, your actions. That's what makes you who you are.
Superman. He's not a man. He's an it. He's somehow become the focal point of the entire world's conversation. I will not accept that.
I cleaned your boots. I'll go get them for you.
You have a dog?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Superman.
That was something.
So, Dani,
Yes.
talk to us. Talk to us.
I love the music. First of all, it
You love
feels
the
very
music? Okay.
hopeful to me. The way it builds into that kind of crescendo. It calls back to Richard Donner's film. I feel like it's, I know a lot of people are like, oh, they used Man of Steel. Well, it's a Superman movie. So it's going to feel like other Superman movies because it's the same character. So to me, it's a very Superman plot when she's asking him those questions. To me, that's very meta. It's like when I watch these movies with my boyfriend, he's talking about the collateral damage. He's talking about like, well, who said he could do that? And who's going to pay for this? And who's going to pay for that? Those are logical questions to ask. But if you were in that situation and you had that power and you had those abilities, would you be able to stand there and just watch innocent people die when there is something you could do about it? Or would you want to go deal with all the red tape? What would you do? Well, Superman's is I don't know if you guys are familiar with author Ayn Rand, The Fountainhead,
I'm not.
Atlas Shrugged. Okay, well, she's kind of considered the mother of the Libertarian Party in a sense, and she founded this philosophy known as objectivism. And in fact, the character, The Question, created by Steve Ditko, DC Comics character, The Question,
Yep.
he is he is the embodiment of objectivism. And what objectivism is, it's if you're seeing man as a heroic figure, then to him, he follows the morals and ethics set by himself. You know, if you have a character of a man like Superman who has all this power and ability and stuff, he's going to follow his own ethics, his own morals, what he sees as right. And this, I feel like so far in this trailer, from what they've shown us, is an excellent example of that. She's asking him, you know, why you're representing, and he is, if you're an American citizen and you go over onto another country's soil, looking at you, Anthony Mackie, sir, you're a representative of the country you hail from. You're a representative, an American citizen. And so of course, if he goes over there and saves people, and maybe that country he went to where he saved those people didn't want those people saved, they're going to complain and say, America, your people came over here and did something they shouldn't. I think that's a very fair question to be asking him. And it's a good way to kind of show us that kind of dilemma that a real superhero would be in that situation. You feel it in your heart to save these people, but of course it's going to create some kind of stupid international incident because people can't behave. I go on and on about certain things, but anyway, I like that is what I'm saying. Okay. I like that.
And that's fair. Yeah, that's absolutely fair. And that's the type of feedback that we look for. And you explained yourself concisely. You knew what you wanted to say based off of what you saw in the trailer, and that is the type of interaction that we are looking for.
To say this is a very Superman issue. This has come up before in comic books with him, and he had a very Superman answer. People were going to die, and the idea that Superman would even question for a moment not immediately going to save those people is offensive and harmful to him. Like, I physically cannot save people. So I'm upset that you would even question whether or not I would question that. So yes, he's upset because he's like, that's an offensive thought. People were going to die. I have the power and ability to do something about it. Why would I stop and think about that for a millisecond? He's not going to. He's going to save them. I'm very interested to see Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor.
I think he's gonna. I'm not gonna watch it in theaters. I might watch it later in streaming, but I will give Nicholas Hoult perks because he is a good actor, and I hope, because at the end of the day, I've always said this: you can be a really good actor, but if the script sucks, you can't blame the actor.
That's
the actor
very true.
He's only got he can only do what he can do with what he's got. So I hope Nicholas Hoult at least pulls off, because I'm getting a lot of vibes from President Luthor here.
Yeah, and he's come out and said many times that he's not president in this movie. It could be possible that he becomes president in another,
or maybe like hinting a campaign for Who knows? But that's the vibes that I got. So
Yeah.
but I'm looking I don't want to throw shade to everybody, but for Nick, yeah, I do want him to at least get the role right.
And I'm gonna say this. To me, this is the most important thing. The most important thing. If you are a DC fan, if you are a Superman fan, you'd want this movie to be good. You'd want it to be good. You'd want it to do well. Because if Superman doesn't do well, if this movie doesn't do well, DCU is done for. They don't have the money. They need this. They need it. Warner Brothers needs it. And if you're a DC fan, wouldn't you want a good DC movie? Don't you want that good content? Don't you want to eat well? I mean, we waited how many
as
years?
soon as they finish the other one, absolutely.
I wanted to jump in and say it goes back to art being objective. And everybody have different opinions because
subjective.
A lot of us subjective. Sorry,
yeah, subjective.
Subjective. Okay. That's what I meant to say. I gotta stop smoking. That's my problem.
No,
I'm just showing off my Irish pride. That's all I'm doing over here.